All right, we're going to go ahead and make a video here. First off, for the alternator replacement, you want to remove your battery cable there like I've shown. I'm going to go ahead and put a 15 mil socket onto this tensioner down here. I'm going to go ahead and try to place the camera a little bit better, get a better view. Just bear with me here. We'll get a nice view from the top. All right, I went ahead and released the tension. And you can see through here, I start releasing the tension and I'm able to slide the belt off of the water pump, which is probably the easiest part to get it off of. And then you can go ahead and take it off of the tensioner. I'm doing this with the cover on. It's probably easier if you take it off. I just wanted to throw this together real quick so I didn't have a chance to kind of get that thing off real fast. You can see here I'm having a little bit of trouble with the socket wrench, but I'll go ahead and cut to this. So there is the first bolt you want to go ahead and remove at the top. That's a 15 mil. Excuse my camera work here, but you could see the bolt. And then you're going to go underneath and you'll see the other two bolts. These are the only three that hold the alternator to the actual mount. The front one has to come completely out. That's a 15. All these bolts are 15 mil. So as you can see, I'm having trouble trying to film with one hand and use the socket wrench with the other. But I went ahead and got that out. And then you could see I have the other bolt actually just needs to be loosened. So you could see it's loose and the alternator has a slot there that allows you to be able to leave that bolt intact. So once you have that out, you can kind of rotate the alternator like I have here. And you can go ahead and use a 13 mil to remove the positive battery or the positive battery cable. I'm just basically taking it off the last little bit here, but that's a 13 mil. And then you're going to want to use a little screwdriver to just kind of lightly push up that red tab. That's the plug. That's the last thing that you remove. And once you kind of pop it up, if you push it towards the alternator a little and just kind of push down between those two red tabs, that thing should just pop right off. I'm kind of showing it a little there. So we go ahead and pull the alternator out. And I'm assuming if you're doing this, it's because you got mud in your alternator. So I'm going to kind of go over what exactly happens to the alternator when mud gets in it. So you could see the new alternator there I'm pointing. The other one was my old alternator. It got pretty muddy there. But what you want to go ahead and do is you can take that black cover off just by, pry screwdriver, kind of work your way around and go ahead and pop that black cover off. And this is what you'll be left with. So once you get that cover off, you want to go ahead and remove the, I believe it's 3 bolts that hold this piece on the back. I believe this is the voltage regulator. Don't quote me on that. Someone can correct me if they want to, if that is actually something else, but we'll just call it a voltage regulator for now. But you go ahead and take the bolts off, and then you should be able to slide that off. That's actually where the plug goes. I'm pointing to it right there. So once we take that off, you should be able to look inside, and you see there's a couple of kind of like brushes that your power tools would have that are located within this red cap. And as you can see, the one down in the bottom there is not out. Those things are spring loaded, and they're spring loaded so that the spring pushes it onto the shaft there. And as the alternator spins, it rides on those brushes. or the shaft, I should say, rides on those brushes, and that's what regulates your voltage. That's why I'm assuming that's the voltage regulator. So if they get filled with mud, they get stuck like that, no longer ride on the shaft, so therefore no longer regulate the voltage. So that's why you end up with your voltage issues once you get mud in there. So basically what I do is you can push those things in and you can kind of work this red cap off. I'm kind of explaining that here. Once you get this cap off, so I was looking for some of my electronics cleaner. This is a throttle body cleaner from CRC. They actually make, if you go to the auto parts store, they will make a electronic parts cleaner, and it'll usually have a plug as the pitcher there instead of a throttle body. And you take that and you can use that to clean any type of electrical connections. And we'll go back over to the brushes here in a second. All right, so what you're going to want to do is once you have that cap off, you'll have full access to the brushes and you'll just start dousing that thing with some electronics cleaner. And you can sit there and work the spring to make sure the brushes start popping out fully. Like even that one that is actually working right there is not fully out. That thing comes out a lot farther than that. So spray that thing, get that thing nice and clean, have those brushes come out, and then what you're going to want to do is you work that red cap back on, but don't put it all the way on. You'll have to push the brushes in, slide the cap down, but just slide it enough to where it actually locks the brushes back into place, or I shouldn't say back into place, but recessed in there to where they're not popping out. And that's kind of what I do. And then once you have it like that, you can put it back onto the alternator, like I'm kind of showing there. And then once you get it down to where you can actually attach the fasteners, you can push that red cap the rest of the way, and it will allow those brushes to pop back into their holes within the red cap and will engage the shaft of the alternator. And that's pretty much how you repair that. And then you can put the cap back on, the black cap, and reinstall. I hope you guys learned something.